Hello. Today I'm going to talk about uh, this is episode 7, part 1. And I'll probably do my age 7 in several parts because it was a very significant age of my childhood. And I remember so many things and so many incidents. All of them seem important. So I'm still going to eliminate a lot, but I don't want to eliminate too many. So the one thing I remember from age 7 is in school, I started really taking an interest in dance and I really started picking up doing very well in dance in Bharatnatyam. So I was getting to do more and more advanced stuff. And I remember my first dance dress. It was like purple with a green border, and it was actually made of satin. Typically, it's made of silk, but this was made of satin, and it was my mother designed it. So, speaking of designing, the one thing I remember from age 7 is um, there used to be, I mentioned Lakshmi Auntie. Lakshmi Auntie recommended this boutique to us. And back then, there wasn't the concept of boutique, but actually, what she recommended to us was actually a very, very exclusive boutique. Um, it was, I had no concept of, going to a master G or a tailor, regular tailor who sits in a shed or whatever. I had not been exposed to such tailors at all. So I only knew of this boutique, and it was actually a designer. The tailor name was Sudha Tailors, and it used to be located in back then. Abbots was, like I said, a posh area of Hyderabad, and there used to be a little street, and I think it was a dead end. Its name was Tilak Road, and Tilak Road, like in that Tilak Road, there was off of the Tilak Road, there was actually a theater, a couple of twin theaters. And back then, Hyderabad, it was amazing. It was a smaller city, smaller town, but there were so many theaters and so many theaters. Like almost every street had a theater. And it's a pity that that culture is gone. And it's like, it's not a pity. Like, we all, I mean, the city has evolved and there's multiplexes everywhere. So I guess that's good. But I remember there was this theater, and its name was there were two theaters, twin theaters, and their names were Shaheen and Farheen. And that name Farheen I used to like a lot. And back then I didn't really know anything about religion, and it was a Muslim name, so we were Hindus. And I liked that name Farheen so much that I always thought if I ever in the grow up and have a baby daughter, I'll name her Farheen. So, basically, Shaheen Farheen was the name of the theaters, and somebody told me that I think it was my dad and mom. My dad, I think, told me that the theater owners' daughters were Shaheen and Farheen, so that's why it was named that. Later on, I think very soon, it was one of the first theaters to start shutting down. It shut down. They converted it into a uh, marriage function hall. And later on, they converted it back to theaters again, Surya 35 and Surya 70 Those were the sizes of the screens. So, and then eventually, I think it shut down. So anyway, this Sudha Taylor was off of the Tilak Road, and it was a very high-end boutique. And what was special about it? And I had no idea other tailors were not like that. I thought all all tailors were like that, but actually, it was a very high-end boutique. It was in the upstairs of a complex of a shopping plaza, and there used to be a lot of luggage stores there in the same plaza, actually. Um, Luggage stores, and there was also a very good stationery shop which sold very exclusive pens. I bought my very first fountain pen from that store. But anyway, it was in that plaza. So, what was unique about this tailor is she would actually, and in this day and age, she would have called herself a designer, but back then she used to call herself a tailor. But she had a staff of people, and she would actually select her own cloth from wherever, design her own dress, and if you took material to her or you bought material from them, they would design it, of course, but they also sold. What was unique was made their own outfits and sold them like as a boutique. And you would only find like one of each kind, right? And they sold outfits for young girls from right from age 4 all the way till age 16, and this Lakshmi auntie's daughters used to buy outfits from there. Now, again, I did not know that this was something so exclusive that I had the privilege of going to, because I did not know that typically in other stores, things are mass manufactured and you get the same color outfit in different sizes, and in fact, in different colors, the same style, because they're mass manufactured. I didn't know that world, but in Sudha Tailors, it was a boutique. You only had one of each kind. Um, and I remember that my mom always used to pick for me like colors like olive green. She used to always pick that, or brown. But my dad, when I went with my dad, he used to always pick like pastel colors, like very sophisticated colors. So I would always prefer that my dad was there for shopping, but that was not always possible because he was a very busy man. So I remember that. And the first time when we took this dance outfit to Sudha Taylor, she had no idea what she was doing. She stitched something, but it didn't turn out very well. So from then on, we didn't give her the dance outfits. So that's a memory I have. The other memory that I have is around this time, my mother actually, my wanted to published her first book, and she was a worked in College of Education as a lecturer. And I still remember that the name of the book in Telugu, I forgot. It was published in, I think, two languages for sure, Telugu and English. But it might have been published in Hindi or Marathi also, but I'm not sure about that. But for sure, it was published in Telugu and English. And very funnily, I remember the Telugu name. It was called Sangika Shastra Bodhana Paddhatulu, and the methods of teaching social studies to kids, because she was a College of Education teacher. So, what was amazing is my second uncle, he was the one who designed the book cover. And that's when I realized that what a great artist my second uncle was. I mean, even till today, I have not seen a better artist than him. Like, and I mean like professional artists also. And I know this looks like so much of an exaggeration, but I really haven't. So again, I always feel like if he was born in the USA, like what great heights he would have achieved as an artist. What I remember about his design is that it was um, it was so ahead of its time. Though it was a regular book, but the cover was just two tone. Okay, it was, and he chose the color. It was like a pistachio, light teal pistachio green, and there was kind of an outline of human beings and science and like anthropology. There was an outline of it in cream color, and there was a cream color border, and he designed all of it, and it was just so sophisticated, like literally sophisticated. And the other thing I remember about him is he had taken this apartment, his own apartment, close to, uh, fairly close, like walking distance to my grandma's, to my mama's apartment. And that apartment was something else. Like as a child, I had never seen anything so futuristic, and he designed all the furniture in there himself. And it was like walking in there was just like walking into some, for me, like as a 6 7 year old, as if I walked into some futuristic space. In fact, many years later, I got the same feel when I was watching Star Wars. I think it is episode two. It's the episode where Anakin becomes Darth Vader, where he first marries Princess Padme and they move into their home. There's this really futuristic home while everything is white, and I saw, so he was so futuristic that I got the same feel like 20 30 years later when I saw this movie. And I told my husband, like, my Maoya's apartment used to look like this. So everything was white and light blue, I remember. And it was not very large, but it was so futuristic. And the dining table was like up against a wall, and you could like open a latch and the dining table would fold down. It would also work as a study table. And after you are done, it would fold up. And even the bed was, I think it's called a Murphy's bed in the US, but that concept was not there in India. So it used to be up against the wall and it would fold it down. And there were bookcases behind it or on either side of it. It was just very fascinating for me how all these things folded from the walls, and he literally designed all that himself. And also his kitchen was like on the terrace, which was very unique. And I was like, this is so different and so unique. It's pretty cool. And the other thing that he had was he had his own cook, and that was like a very novel concept back in the day. I mean, I know everybody has cooks these days, but back in the day it was very novel. And his cook actually used to work in a hotel called Ashoka Hotel. He used to work in the restaurant there, and he would come and cook, make like rotis and sabzi and all for my uncle. So that was something I remember. So around this period, my dad was doing really well in his job, and I did detail that when I was about 5 years old, they actually bought the house that we were renting, and then they also bought a new car. We got a dog. My brother had a bike, and around this period, my dad and mom wanted some new furniture as well in the house. And I know this seems so silly, but it was a big deal to get like nice furniture. Like people, like middle class people didn't have, like they had regular furniture, but very few people had like really nice furniture. So we introduced this character in our life that was played a very big role. So in AGI, there used to be a company carpenter, and the carpenter name was Mara, and I still remember his name, and he was so supremely talented. It was amazing the things he could do, provided you gave him the design. He was not a very good designer. He was a horrible designer actually, because later on many years later we asked him to design something else for us, like a TV stand, and he totally botched it up. But provided you gave him the design, he could actually do a very good job. So my dad actually designed this uh, this settee with two bolsters, and it has storage in the bottom, and then there was a corner unit which was bi-layer, and it has storage in the bottom, and then there was another um, like a sectional type of thing with storage in the back, which opened up to a bookshelf. I know when I describe it, it seems like it's just a piece of furniture, but it was a big deal. Like it was a big event, and this Mara did such a fantastic job. Interestingly, we have that piece of furniture, like that set, even till now. We just changed the veneers and the upholstery, but we still have those pieces of furniture with us. And we are talking, we have it after 45 years. And think about it, like, and it's still relevant. It doesn't look dated. So it was that contemporary. So we were very proud of that furniture set, and all the neighbors used to come and look at the storage and like get ideas, and these pieces had like, in the beginning they didn't have rolling wheels on it, but later on they put rolling wheels on it, and we could do so many configurations. We could combine the beds or separate the beds or change them around. um, and we put our initially later on we had a TV stand, but even initially we even put our TV on it. So that was something I remember. We already had a really nice dining table, and we had a little telephone stand that and dressing table, which were like in pink decorum furniture, veneer. And this Mara design, it had like a cream and brown veneer, and my dad actually handpicked everything, and everything was so stylish and sophisticated, and we were very proud of that set. So that was one incident that I remember. And the the other incident that I remember is my uncle. Again, the second uncle is who I'm talking about. He was always like I told you, like he was a man like very ahead of his time. So he actually enrolled himself in French classes, okay, at L'Alliance Française, and it was in a place called Shantinagar, and we'd never heard of this institution, but institute, sorry, not institution, institute, and then but he enrolled himself there. And actually eventually my last aunt, my youngest aunt, she was also taking classes there, but I'll come down to that later. So once there was only one main theater in our city. It was called Ravindra Bharati. It still exists. It was like a landmark theater. So our city was small. It was not like big like Mumbai, where you had many theaters. This was where the big cultural events happened. So there was one more called Gandhi Bhavan or something like that, Gandhi something like that. But and then there was one more auditorium called in Indira Priyadarshini Auditorium in the public gardens. But those were the three large theaters, but those were built later. And then, of course, eventually they built the Shilpakala Vedika and all that. But this was the main go-to theater. Every time we passed it in our car, I was used to be fascinated because there was a big waterfall, and it used to be all lit up always. Like I would always be curious, like what color, and I would not understand that it was lit up from underneath it. So I would always think the water is that color. And I'd be like, what color will the water be today? Will it be red? Will it be green? Will it be yellow? I would always be curious what color. And I would wonder how they have so much colored water. But I didn't. Later on, my dad told me, I asked him, where do they get the color from to color all this water? I remember I asked him this question when I was 7 years old. And then he told me that no, it's not colored water. It's lit up colored lamps underneath, and I didn't believe him. So once my parents took me to so Pandit Ravi Shankar actually had brothers, Anand Shankar and Uday Shankar, and this Uday Shankar used to do very contemporary fusion type of dances. And because I was so interested in dance, my parents thought, let's take her and show her, this Uday Shankar's dance. and that was at this Ravindra Bharati. And that was when my dad actually, he knew that I always used to ask him that question of, I did not believe him that they're lit up different lamps of different colors that would make the water different color. So when we went to Uday Shankar's that dance show, it was this most amazing dance show. I thought I will get bored. Actually, I remember we took my youngest aunt also to that show, I think, because there are other people with us. I don't remember who, but it was not just our family. And and it was just this most like amazing show. I thought I'll get bored, and my parents thought I'll get bored. I remember they were talking. I used to overhear everything. They were debating between themselves. Should we take the kid? Will she get bored? But then my mother said, no, she's interested in dance. We should expose her. So that was something very special about my mother. Like when she saw the child was interested in, she really believed in exposing the child and letting them discover it themselves. So they took me to the show, and it was a very beautiful show, amazing show. I really enjoyed it. And then, but what I also enjoyed is during the interval, I remember it was just my dad and me. He brought me out on his shoulder, as always. And then he made me stand on the ledge next to that waterfall in the Ravindra Bharati. And he made me walk down the ledge next to that waterfall. And then he showed me the lights, the colored lights. And then he held me like this, and I was so afraid I'll fall into that waterfall. Then he said, don't be afraid, like touch the water and see. And he made me gather the water in my hand. I leant over like this, and I took the water, and I saw that it was just regular water, it was not colored water. Then he showed me the lights underneath it and said, see, those are the lights. When the lights change colors, it will change. Okay. So I still didn't believe him. And this I remember so much. My dad really got things done. He really got things done. And so just to prove it to me, I remember underneath that there used to be that electric panel and the operator there. So that guard or whoever worked there. So he told them, change the color of the bulbs. And they were like, no, sir, today like it's red. We'll get into trouble. He said, no, do it right now. Like he was very authoritative. And then he said, look, that guy will change the color from yellow to red, and then the water also will change color. So the guy changed it, and the water also changed. I think my aunt was with us in this outing, but anyways, I don't remember that clearly. But I remember that he changed the red, and I realized how that water became red. So, so these are a few incidents I remember from age 7, but I have so much more to tell you about age 7 because a lot of interesting things happened in my life then. So I'll continue in the next episode of age 7, part 2. Okay, bye.